Opinions and ideas expressed in the following Moraine Valley Broadcast Channel recording are those of its creators and do not represent the views of Moraine Valley Community College.
Welcome to the Laymen Lectures.
Lectures dumbed down for people like you.
Hey.
I'm your host, Nathaniel Levenish, and today I'll be talking with the lovely lecture ladies.
I am Shireen Saleh.
I'm Carly Sullivan.
And I'm Olivia Burbat.
Today's letter is D for Discourse.
Which is probably the grade you're receiving in the class and the reason why you're joining us today. Study.
Disclosure is...
Discourse?
Discourse.
It's okay. Why don't you tell us what discourse is?
Discourse is the thoughts and subject topics viewed. It is discussed, typically orally, through a conversation. Popular discourse is something you could possibly find on YouTube. For example, Nicole Arbour's Dear Fat People, touching on a touchy subject.
I hate that video.
Academic discourse is more founded through a classroom setting or what an educator would typically say. And political discourse is what affects the world, such as Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign, which my lovely lady, Carly, will touch on later in this podcast.
So what is the discourse about today?
Obesity?
Well, what about obesity?
We're going to touch on the obesity crisis and focus mainly on the causes and solutions from various areas of discourse, like popular, academic, and political. And we're going to discuss how the food industry influences our discourse in these areas.
So, the first type of discourse that we're going to discuss is popular discourse. That is the type of discourse that you're probably the most familiar with. It's the kind of discussion that you hear every day. It comes from people that aren't necessarily experts on the topic. For example, you may have seen or heard of the video titled Dear Fat People.
I've seen that video.
She is not funny.
No. Keeps being taken down and put up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, multiple times.
If you haven't seen that video, it is a YouTube video posted by a woman named Nicole Arbour in September of 2015. It's a 6-minute video filled with her thoughts and ideas on the obesity topic. She's a big supporter of the personal responsibility idea, and she shares her personal encounters with people that are obese. This is popular discourse because she is in no way an expert on that topic. There was no extensive research that went into that video. It is just mainly her opinion. So, now when you guys hear popular discourse on obesity, what are the kind of things you hear?
Well, when I see popular discourse, basically all around us with the ads of Pepsi, Coke, Burger King, McDonald's, which is really frightening, to be honest, because you really can't escape it, and with all the
They make it look like obesity is abnormal.
Yeah.
Like it's not actually everywhere you turn, which it is. So, I mean, that's how the food industry is playing on this. But what are some things that, like, just in popular everyday conversation people say about fat people?
It's their own fault. That's what I hear a lot.
Definitely,
they're
right? It's like,
rude.
well, eat less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And some words that I would probably associate with thinking of an obese person would be they breathe heavy, they're unhealthy, they waddle, they smell, they're ugly. All these horrible words and phrases that you would associate with a obese person when they're really just like an everyday person. They just have a little bit extra cushion on them.
And people get so angry at them because they feel like they're getting privileges that no one else is getting when really, I mean, they have health problems. They really do have trouble walking. These are not things that they've brought upon themselves. It could happen to anybody. It's not like they were born this way.
Exactly, and even I have come across some unfortunately obese people that even blame themselves for their own obesity, and unfortunately those people are close to me, so...
Right. Well, there was a video going around Facebook that it was fat people answering questions that people are asking of them, and they were telling their experiences. And it was sad to listen to these everyday people you see walking down the street, how upset they are with themselves.
Yeah.
Because of the way the food industry is making us think that it's this abnormal thing by looking at Pepsi ads and seeing these skinny people in front of you.
And I would like to say this it's probably an ethical issue that has arisen because of size discrimination, and obese people could probably say that they have become ill-healthed because of the fat ethics that have been said towards them, which could cause them to gain the disorder of having a bad relationship with food, their body, their self-image, and relationships in general.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and this idea that it's all personal responsibility is also tying into the political discourse, which it's really sad, because if you look at the Michelle Obama Let's Move campaign, which Shireen said I would speak about, basically what it's telling these people to do is get out and exercise. Like, this weight is your fault. Get out and fix it.
Yeah.
When, I mean, we learned in class that exercise is not the solution to this problem.
It's all portion size, calorie intake count.
Correct. That's exactly what we're talking about here.
And it's pretty depressing with the Michelle Obama Let's Move campaign, because it was mostly pointed towards children. Like,
Right.
like you see on Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, the hour a day of play,
Right.
and all that. It makes the people, and it makes the kids who are unfortunately obese and overweight feel like they're trash.
Right. And they feel like they're not getting better, and they don't know why.
Especially if they're like antisocial and don't really have that many friends. Well, why would they have a reason to go outside and play if they really don't?
Right. Well, and the problem with it coming from a political standpoint is that politics are fueled by the food industry.
Oh, no
That's
doubt.
how the food industry is making their way into this political discourse.
They're very money hungry.
Yeah.
The lobbyists will pay for these campaigns, so obviously these politicians aren't going to say this food is bad for you. They're going to find a different way around it, you know.
And it's pretty sad, like, with all the politics, like, every day, you barely hear anything on, well, obesity, other than Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign, which was almost 10 years ago. It was, and it's pretty darn sad, to be honest.
I don't know if it was 10 years ago. That makes me feel really old.
2008. 2008 was the election year. 2009, when Obama got elected, Michelle Obama started the Let's Move campaign about 2009, I think.
Jeez.
Well, back to
Obesity.
Obesity?
Okay, back to obesity. Well, that leaves academic discourse.
Yeah.
Which is our last area to touch on. Does anyone have anything they would like to start with before I delve in and just run my mouth some more?
Well, when you hear academic discourse, you think about the articles that you see written on obesity. And a lot of those articles have been funded by Coca-Cola.
Sadly,
That's
you're
it.
right. Yeah.
That's pretty scary, to be honest, because who would really want, in the hindsight, for me to put this into words? It's really scary how something that's trying to sell you, a company that's trying to sell you something, is telling you how to eat.
Well, tell me how Coca-Cola backs science. Like, science was around long before Coca-Cola came around. Why all of a sudden is Coca-Cola getting involved in science?
Coca-Cola got the money.
Coca-Cola wants answers. They want answers that aren't actually happening.
They want to make sure people are still buying their products.
Which is unfortunately how business works, but when business hurts people, that's a bad thing.
And back to popular discourse, what do you see when it's Super Bowl Sunday, when you walk first into a grocery store?
Beer.
You see all...
Well,
you see
besides
all-
the beer.
You see all the Coca-Cola products and the family size chip bags and
Yeah.
everything that's...
Well, and that ties into the political discourse. Why aren't the politics doing anything to say that this family size bag is too large?
Like, how big is your family? Because...
Well, a lot bigger now that they're eating that entire family size bag of chips.
That's
But-
horrible.
But that's the problem. All of these things go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And you've got the food industry playing a role in every single area of discourse.
Yes.
There's no way you can have a conversation about the obesity crisis without Coca-Cola or Pepsi sticking their head in and being like, hey, by the way, did you think about this?
Yeah, you should drink are refreshing, nutritious.
Are you thirsty from this conversation? Because I feel like you might need a Coca-Cola.
I'll have water, thank you very much.
Right. That's, probably not, though, because they also own that company. So if you're picking up a Dasani, you can thank them.
I'll go to my sink.
So basically, that's what it comes down to is who's got the money.
The company's Coke, Pepsi, everybody.
Right, as they own, hundreds of other name brands that you don't even think about. It's all affecting obesity.
Yes, and that brings us to the playbook from the food industry. So the food industry has lots of different ways that they focus on making people buy their products and fixing their image so that people don't associate it with obesity. That would be the playbook.
This is the big companies marketing their products but taking no responsibility from what they are causing to individuals, saying that in the end it's the individual's issue on becoming obese or becoming unhealthy.
What you're saying is that these companies have an actual plan to make people unhealthy and they have no problem with it.
Yes, it's all to fix their image. Make
Cool,
sure people buy their
comforting.
products.
And even when someone tries to, like, from a academic discourse study about obesity and Coke and Pepsi, all of that, as you said earlier, that Coke can run science. They hire scientists to make false science in order to get out the answer that they want, and call the other more viable and academic resources junk, as they say, junk science. And that's honestly vile. And
so these people are making me feel fat.
Yes, they are.
So the weight I'm gaining is their fault, and they're trying to make it look like it's my fault.
It's completely their fault.
But Carly, I don't see any extra weight on you.
Did you see the Pepsi model? Because I don't think I look like that Pepsi model, and that means that I am too heavy for the situation.
But do you see how heavy I am compared to you?
But you're not heavy compared to some of the people walking down the street. Like, I see myself.
Okay.
Okay, but
stop, please.
Well, anyways, catch us up next week to
discuss Biology 102, lecture number 3. I'm so sorry. This has been the Laymen Lectures.